Fleet Admiral Jessica Iron Lady Hawthorne stood motionless on the bridge of the U.S. Quicksilver, her weathered hands clasped behind her back, as the holographic display flickered with incoming transmission markers. 27 years of naval service had taught her patience, but the muscles in her jaw tightened involuntarily as the first sounds of alien laughter echoed through the command deck. "Look at them!" Admiral Kethrix's translated voice boomed through the speakers, his massive form towering over his own war council. The hegemony leader's iridescent scales rippled with amusement. "The humans send toys to fight our mighty armée." More laughter joined the chorus, the clicking, chittering sounds of various alien species finding humor in humanity's apparent suicide mission. The holographic feed showed the Hegemony War Council in all its arrogant glory. Representatives from 15 species, each commanding ships that dwarfed Earth's largest space stations. "Status report," Hawthorne commanded, her voice cutting through the alien mockery like a knife through warm butter. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper's fingers danced across his console. "Hegemony fleet composition as expected, ma'am. 37 capital ships, smallest measuring at 3 kilometers in length. Energy signatures consistent with Class X weapon systems." He paused, allowing himself a small smile. "Their heat signatures are impressive." Impressive is one word for it. Commander Sarah Peterson muttered from her tactical station. "Those behemoths are radiating enough waste heat to cook a small planet. No wonder they built them so big. Half the space must be dedicated to cooling systems." The alien transmission continued, Kethrix's massive form gesturing dismissively at the tactical display of Earth's fleet. "These humans, they think size matters not. Let them learn as all others have. The hegemony does not suffer the arrogance of lesser species." Hawthorne allowed herself a thin smile. "Lesser species," she repeated softly, running her finger along the edge of her command console. The neural interface hummed quietly against her temple, feeding her real-time data from every ship in the human fleet, every captain, every system, all synchronized with precision that would have been impossible just 5 years ago. "Ma'am," Cooper called out, "they're broadcasting on all frequencies. They want everyone to hear this." "Of course they do," Hawthorne replied, her voice carrying the hint of amusement. "Psychological warfare 101. Show me the fleet dispositions again." The holographic display shifted, showing the stark contrast between the forces. The hegemony ships loomed like mountains in space, their massive forms reflecting distant starlight. Each vessel bristled with weapon emplacements larger than the biggest human ships. Alongside them, the human fleet looked almost comical, sleek vessels barely 200 meters long, arranged in tight formations that would have been suicide for larger ships to attempt. "Their targeting systems are actively scanning us," Peterson reported. "Interesting. They're having trouble maintaining locks. Our size and heat signature are below their standard tracking parameters." Another burst of alien laughter filled the bridge as Kethrix made what he clearly thought was a killing joke. "Perhaps we should send our maintenance drones to deal with this space debris. Why waste our warriors on such insignificant prey?" Hawthorne reached up and adjusted her neural interface, feeling the familiar tingle as it synchronized with the ship's systems. The tactical display sharpened, overlaying with data streams from every vessel in the human fleet. Each captain's status indicator glowed steady green. Ready, willing, and synchronized. "Lieutenant Cooper," she said, her voice carrying the weight of authority that had earned her the nickname Iron Lady, "send my compliments to Admiral Kethrix. Inform him that the human fleet accepts his challenge." She paused, allowing herself one more small smile. "And remind all stations, Operation Mosquito is now in effect." As Cooper transmitted the message, Hawthorne watched the hegemony ships on her display. Let them laugh. They hadn't spent the last decade revolutionizing warfare to impress anyone. But by God, they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating humanity. The Iron Lady spoke one final time before the battle began. "All ships, battle formations. Let's show them why size isn't everything." Commander Mike Maverick Reynolds watched his tactical display as the U.S. Hornet cut through space like a sword through silk. The hegemony scout ships, each one still larger than an old Earth aircraft carrier, pushed forward with all the subtlety of drunk elephants. "Those cooling vents," he muttered, more to himself than his crew. "Big as canyons. Betting they never thought they'd need to protect them." His XO, Lieutenant Maria "Hotshot" Ramirez, flashed him a predatory grin from her station. "Ready to show them why they call you Maverick, sir." "All ships in attack pattern Delta," Reynolds commanded, his neural interface humming as it distributed tactical data to his squadron. "Remember your training. They're expecting us to run. Let's give them exactly what they want. Until we don't." The human squadron executed what appeared to be a panicked retreat. 6 ships moving in seemingly chaotic patterns, their engines flaring just enough to be tracked. The hegemony scouts took the bait, accelerating to pursuit velocity. "They're broadcasting again," Communications Officer Jake Turner announced, unable to hide his amusement. "They're calling us. Scurrying vermin." Reynolds checked his neural feed. Every ship in his squadron was perfectly positioned, their apparent chaos masking a deadly choreography. "Time to spring the trap. Initiate spiral dance on my mark." The hegemony scouts had closed to what they considered optimal firing range, still too far for their targeting computers to get a solid lock on the nimble human vessels. Their massive weapon systems began charging, plasma containment fields glowing like artificial suns. Now, in perfect synchronization, the human squadron killed their engines. For a fraction of a second, they appeared to float dead in space. Then, using their revolutionary gravity pulse systems, each ship began to spin on multiple axes simultaneously, creating a spiral pattern that should have torn any spacecraft apart. 3 seconds to weapons range, Ramirez called out, her hands dancing across her console. "They're trying to track us, failing spectacularly." Reynolds felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as the Hornet's gravity compensators fought to keep his crew conscious during maneuvers that would have turned the hegemony crews to paste. "All ships, execute attack plan Sigma. Target those cooling vents. Let's show them why humans studied wasps instead of building bigger guns." The human squadron split apart with surgical precision, each ship maintaining its spiral trajectory while closing distance. The hegemony scouts, their targeting systems confused by the unprecedented maneuvers, began firing wildly into space. "They're panicking," Turner reported with satisfaction. "Their command channels are chaos. They don't understand how we're moving like this." Reynolds watched as his squadron reached attack position. The Hornet's advanced sensors painted perfect targeting solutions across the massive cooling vents of the nearest scout ship. "All ships, weapons free. Show them what human vermin can do." 6 human vessels struck simultaneously. Their compact fusion-powered weapons might have seemed laughably small to the hegemony, but each shot was placed with microscopic precision. Concentrated energy beams sliced through the unprotected cooling vents, instantly vaporizing crucial heat exchange systems. The effect was devastating. Without their massive cooling arrays, the hegemony scouts began to cook themselves alive. Their enormous weapon systems, still charged for battle, had nowhere to vent their excess heat. "First scout ship's reactor is going critical," Ramirez reported clinically. "Second and third are initiating emergency shutdowns. Their crews are abandoning ship." Reynolds opened a channel to the retreating hegemony vessels. "This is Commander Reynolds of the U.S. Hornet. Perhaps you'd like to revise your assessment of vermin capabilities." The only response was garbled panic as the massive ships went dark, their crews desperately evacuating before their own power systems melted them from the inside out. "Message from Admiral Hawthorne," Turner announced. "Excellent work, Maverick. The hegemony's main fleet is responding. Prepare for Phase 2. Reynolds nodded, watching the massive capital ships approach in the distance. "All ships, reform on me. Time to show them that was just our opening act." The human squadron regrouped, their small size belying the deadly lesson they'd just taught the galaxy. Sometimes the most dangerous predator isn't the largest. It's the one you underestimate. Lieutenant Colonel Emily Ghost Winters killed all external lighting on the U.S. Phantom, the sleek vessel disappearing against the star-studded backdrop of space. Her specialized stealth squadron, 5 ships designed to be virtually invisible, prepared to demonstrate why humanity's miniaturized fusion reactors had changed the rules of space combat forever. Heat signature nominal, reported Chief Engineer Marcus Frost Bailey, his fingers dancing across holographic readouts. We're running cold enough to freeze nitrogen, but Dr. Martinez's reactors are still giving us full power. Those alien bastards won't know what hit them. Winters allowed herself a small smile. The hegemony's massive dreadnoughts blazed like miniature suns on their thermal sensors, their massive reactor cores pumping out enough waste heat to be visible from half a system away. In contrast, the Phantom and her sister ships were practically invisible, their revolutionary heat sink technology masking any trace of their presence. All Ghost Squadron vessels maintained formation. Winters commanded through the neural net. Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to humble them. The massive hegemony vessels moved ponderously through space, their weapon systems still tracking the last known position of Reynolds' squadron. They hadn't even noticed the 5 human ships sliding between their formation like shadows through darkness. Multiple targeting solutions available, Lieutenant Sarah Foster announced from Tactical, her voice carrying a hint of predatory anticipation. Their thermal blindness is total. They're still broadcasting victory speeches about defeating our primitive vessels. Winters checked the tactical overlay through her neural interface. The hegemony ship's thermal signatures painted perfect targets, their critical systems glowing bright against the cold of space. Dr. Martinez's breakthrough hadn't just been about making smaller reactors. It was about fundamental efficiency. While the aliens were still trying to brute force their way through the laws of thermodynamics, humanity had learned to work with them. Execute attack pattern shade, Winters ordered. Target their primary heat exchangers. Let's show them what real space warfare looks like. The Ghost Squadron moved like a coordinated school of fish, each ship maintaining perfect position despite being virtually blind to normal sensors. The neural net allowed them to share data with microsecond precision, creating a composite picture of the battlefield that no single ship could achieve alone. First target locked, Foster reported. Their sensor arrays are still focused on the outer perimeter. They have no idea we're here. Winters watched as her squadron slipped into final attack position. All ships, prepare to fire on my mark. Remember, precision over power. We're surgeons, not butchers. The Phantom's weapons, compact, efficient, and deadly accurate, aligned with the largest hegemony dreadnought's primary cooling system. Similar targeting solutions appeared across Winters' neural feed as each ship in her squadron selected their targets. 3, 2, 1. Execute. 5 simultaneous strikes, each perfectly placed, sliced through the hegemony vessel's thermal management systems. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Without their massive cooling arrays, the dreadnought's own power systems became their worst enemy. Direct hits confirmed, Foster announced, professional satisfaction evident in her voice. Their reactor containment systems are going critical. They're trying to compensate, but warning klaxons began blaring across the hegemony command channels as their mighty ships started to cook themselves from the inside out. Their massive weapon systems, designed to channel enormous amounts of energy, became useless as temperature warnings redlined across their bridges. This is impossible. A translated hegemony transmission cut through the chaos. Their ships, they're not even registering on our sensors. How are they generating enough power to fight without heat signatures? Winters opened a channel to the struggling alien vessels. This is Lieutenant Colonel Winters of the Ghost Squadron. Perhaps you'd like to power down those oversized reactors before they melt through your hulls. We'd be happy to escort your evacuation pods to safety. The response was immediate. 3 hegemony dreadnoughts initiated emergency shutdowns, their mighty engines falling silent as crew survival instincts overrode pride. Two more followed shortly after, their massive forms now dark and lifeless in space. Message from Admiral Hawthorne. Communications reported. Excellent work, Ghost. The Hegemony fleet is dividing their forces to deal with multiple threats. Prepare for Phase 3. Winters nodded, watching the remaining alien ships frantically trying to adapt to an enemy they couldn't even detect. All ships maintain stealth protocols. We've taught them that bigger isn't better. Now let's show them why they can't hide. In the darkness of space, the Ghost Squadron vanished once more, leaving behind 5 powerless monuments to the folly of underestimating human ingenuity. Captain Tom "Stinger" Rodriguez watched the tactical display aboard the U.S. Vespa as chaos erupted across the Hegemony fleet. Their formation, once proud and orderly, had devolved into a defensive sphere as they tried to protect themselves from threats they couldn't track or predict. Just like angry bears swatting at wasps, Rodriguez muttered, his neural interface feeding him real-time data from his squadron's 12 ships. And we're about to make them even angrier. His XO, Commander Lisa Queen Bee Chen, reviewed the micro-jump calculations one final time. Jump coordinates locked for all vessels, Captain. The Wasp's nest is ready to deploy. Rodriguez had spent years developing this tactic, inspired by the deadly efficiency of Earth's most aggressive insects. The Hegemony's mighty ships, for all their power, shared one critical weakness. They could only fire in one direction at a time. All Vespa squadron ships, prepare for synchronized micro-jumps, he ordered through the neural net. Remember your training. Timing is everything. One mistake, and we'll have 12 ships trying to occupy the same space. The remaining Hegemony vessels had grouped tighter, their massive weapons scanning space for threats. Their commanding admiral was broadcasting orders, still confident in their superior firepower. Target acquired, Weapons Officer James Hunter reported. Their formation is perfect for the nest strategy. They're practically begging us to sting them. Rodriguez allowed himself a predatory smile. Initialize jump sequence. Attack pattern swarm in 3, 2, 1. Execute. 12 human ships vanished simultaneously, their revolutionary jump drives allowing for precise, short-range teleportation that the Hegemony had deemed technically impossible. A fraction of a second later, they reappeared, each ship occupying a different attack vector around the alien formation. First jump successful, Chen reported crisply. All ships in position. Beginning attack sequence Alpha. The Vespa squadron struck from 12 directions at once, their compact weapons targeting shield generators and secondary weapon systems. Before the Hegemony vessels could respond, the human ships jumped again, appearing at 12 new positions. They're trying to track us, Hunter called out, excitement in his voice. Their targeting systems can't keep up with the jump frequency. Rodriguez watched through his neural feed as his squadron executed the complex dance they'd practiced countless times. Jump, strike, jump again. Never staying still long enough to be targeted, never attacking from the same vector twice. The Hegemony ships spun helplessly, their massive weapons firing into empty space where human vessels had been microseconds before. Sir, Communications Officer Maya Patel cut in. Intercepted Hegemony transmission. They're everywhere. How can such small ships have jump drives? The power requirements alone. Let them wonder, Rodriguez replied. Execute attack pattern beta. Time to show them why you don't swat at wasps. The human squadron's attacks intensified. Each jump was precisely calculated to place them in the blind spots of the Hegemony's weapon systems. Their strikes, while individually smaller than a single alien cannon blast, were surgically targeted at critical systems. Hegemony flagship is showing shield fluctuations, Hunter reported. Their power grid can't handle the strain of maintaining omnidirectional defenses. Rodriguez nodded, watching the massive alien vessels struggling to cope with threats they couldn't predict or counter. Initiate final phase. Target their primary command and control nodes. Let's clip their wings. The Vespa squadron executed one final synchronized jump, appearing simultaneously at 12 precisely calculated points around the Hegemony flagship. Their combined strike, perfectly coordinated through the neural net, severed the alien vessel's main command circuits. Direct hits confirmed, Chen announced. Hegemony flagship has lost centralized control. Their fleet coordination is falling apart. Through the tactical display, Rodriguez watched the mighty alien ships begin to break formation, their coordinated defense crumbling as communication links failed. His squadron had turned their formation into exactly what he planned, a chaotic wasp's nest, with the aliens as the panicked victims. Message from Admiral Hawthorne, Paddle reported. Outstanding work, Stinger. The Hegemony fleet is initiating a tactical retreat. Prepare for Phase 5. Rodriguez smiled as his squadron regrouped, their small ships moving with perfect precision, while the massive alien vessels wallowed in disarray. All ships maintained jump readiness. They thought size gave them power. We just taught them that agility beats bulk every time. In the space around them, the mighty Hegemony fleet struggled to regroup, their commanders learning too late that in the face of superior tactics and technology, bigger targets just meant bigger failures. Director Neural Jack Thompson stood within the crystalline matrix of the Neural Command Center aboard the U.S. Hivemind. His consciousness expanded through the neural network that connected every human ship in the fleet. Data streams flowed through his enhanced awareness like rivers of light, each one carrying tactical information, status updates, and combat telemetry from hundreds of vessels. Neural load at 60% and stable, reported Dr. Amanda Torres, her voice seeming to come from both beside him and across vast distances simultaneously. The Hegemony's trying to adapt their combat algorithms, but they're still processing data like it's the 22nd century. Thompson smiled as he watched the battle unfold across multiple dimensions of awareness. Each human captain's consciousness flickered at the edges of his perception, their tactical decisions and combat maneuvers coordinated with millisecond precision through the neural net. "Show me the enemy's command and control structure," he ordered, his words translating instantly into data queries. The battlefield visualization shifted, displaying the Hegemony's desperate attempts to coordinate their remaining forces. Their command ships blazed with communication signals, trying to maintain control over their scattered fleet using conventional transmission methods. They're still relying on standard communication protocols, Lieutenant Kevin Park observed from his monitoring station. Their fastest response time is nearly 3 seconds. We're operating at 0.004. Thompson focused his enhanced consciousness on a cluster of human ships executing a complex defensive pattern. Through the neural net, he could feel Captain Rodriguez's squadron maintaining their micro-jump formations, Ghost Squadron sliding through thermal shadows, and Commander Reynolds' forces preparing for another precision strike. They're attempting to establish a new defensive formation, Dr. Torres announced. Calculating probable strategies based on observed patterns, they're going to try to create a layered defense grid. Too slow, Thompson murmured, his augmented mind already formulating countermeasures. All squadron leaders, executing combat pattern Omega. Time to show them what true coordination looks like. Through the neural net, every human ship received their new tactical instructions simultaneously. There was no lag, no need for confirmation or clarification. Just pure, instantaneous understanding shared across hundreds of minds working as one. The effect was devastating. Before the Hegemony could complete their defensive repositioning, the human fleet moved as a single organism. Ghost Squadron materialized inside their formation as Rodriguez's ships executed precisely timed micro-jumps. Reynolds' forces struck from multiple vectors, each attack perfectly synchronized to exploit gaps in the aliens' coverage. Hegemony command channels are in chaos, Park reported, excitement creeping into his voice. They're trying to understand how we're coordinating our attacks. Their tactical officers are claiming it's impossible for ships to move with this level of synchronization. Thompson watched through the neural net as the human fleet executed maneuvers that would have been suicide without their shared consciousness. Ships wove between each other with microscopic precision, their actions coordinated not by computers or traditional command structures, but by directly linked human minds. Their admiral is demanding answers, Dr. Torres added, monitoring the hegemony's communications. They can't understand how we're reacting to their strategies before they even finish implementing them. Show them, Thompson commanded, initiating the next phase of the attack. Through the neural net, he felt hundreds of minds acknowledge and adapt instantly to the new battle plan. The human fleet split into precisely coordinated attack groups, each one moving with perfect awareness of every other ship's position and intention. Where the hegemony expected ships to collide or interfere with each other's firing solutions, they found only deadly efficiency. Neural load spiking, Dr. Torres warned. 70%, 80%, stabilizing at 85%. Thompson gritted his teeth, maintaining his focus as he coordinated the massive dance of ships and minds. Hold formation. Show them what humanity's hive mind can do. The hegemony fleet's attempts at coordination crumbled in the face of humanity's neural-linked assault. Their ships, still trying to process tactical data through conventional means, couldn't match the instant reactions and perfect synchronization of the human fleet. Message from Admiral Hawthorne, Park announced. Extraordinary work, Neuraljack. The enemy's command structure is collapsing. Prepare for Phase 6. Thompson nodded, feeling the collective determination of hundreds of neural-linked crews flowing through his enhanced consciousness. All ships maintain neural sync. We've shown them that bigger isn't better. Now let's prove that the future of warfare isn't about size. It's about synthesis. Around them, the battle continued to unfold like a deadly ballet, with humanity's synchronized fleet demonstrating that in space combat, a connected mind was the deadliest weapon of all. Major Diana Surgeon Mitchell watched through the targeting display of the U.S. Scalpel as her precision strike team moved into position. The massive hegemony vessels, already struggling with multiple system failures, made perfect targets for her squadron's experimental quantum targeting systems. Lieutenant Cooper's targeting calculations are locked in, announced her weapons officer, Jake Martinez. Quantum entanglement is stable across all strike points. We can hit 50 critical systems simultaneously with picometer accuracy. Mitchell's squadron represented the pinnacle of human precision warfare. While the hegemony built ships designed to obliterate planets, humanity had developed weapons that could target individual circuit pathways within enemy vessels. Status of enemy defensive systems, she asked, her neural link providing real-time analysis of the nearest dreadnought's vulnerabilities. They're adapting their shield harmonics, her XO, Captain Rachel Wong, reported with a slight smirk. Not that it matters. Our quantum-locked beams will pass through their shields like they don't exist. Mitchell nodded, watching as her squadron of 10 ships moved into attack formation. Each vessel was equipped with Cooper's revolutionary targeting system, technology that even most humans had considered impossible just years ago. All ships, execute Operation Acupuncture, she ordered through the neural net. Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to demonstrate precisely why humanity focused on surgical strikes instead of brute force. The Scalpel and her sister ships aligned their quantum-locked weapons. Through her neural interface, Mitchell could see the targeting solutions overlaid on the hegemony vessels, each one highlighting a critical system nexus that, when disabled, would cascade through the enemy ship's operations. First target locked, Martins announced. Quantum coherence at 100%. We're going to thread needles through their armor like it's tissue paper. Mitchell allowed herself a small smile. Execute primary sequence. Let's show them what real precision looks like. 10 human ships fired simultaneously, their weapons releasing beams so precisely targeted that they passed through the hegemony shields at their exact resonance frequencies. Each beam struck multiple targets, the quantum-locked energy following predetermined paths through the enemy vessel's systems. Direct hits confirmed, Juan reported, excitement creeping into her professional tone. Their power distribution networks are failing exactly as predicted. secondary systems attempting to compensate, and failing. Through her neural feed, Mitchell watched as the massive alien ships began to lose function after function. Their mighty weapons, each capable of devastating entire continents, fell silent as power conduits were severed with surgical precision. Hegemony commanders are panicking. Communications officer Sarah Chen cut in. Intercepted transmission. How are they doing this? Their weapons aren't even registering on our damage sensors, but everything is failing. That's because we're not trying to blow holes in their ships. Mitchell responded, more to her crew than the enemy. We're performing surgery. Execute secondary targeting sequence. Another volley of quantum-locked beams struck the alien vessels, each one targeting backup systems and emergency protocols. The hegemony ships, already crippled, found themselves unable to even initiate basic recovery procedures. Sir, Martinez called out. They're trying to reroute power through tertiary systems. Should we target those as well? Mitchell shook her head. No need. Let them keep life support and basic maneuvering. This isn't about destruction. It's about education. She opened a channel to the nearest hegemony vessel. This is Major Mitchell of the U.S. Scalpel. We've disabled your weapons, shields, and primary systems with surgical precision. Your crew is unharmed. Your hull is intact, but your ship is combat ineffective. This is humanity's answer to brute force. Precision over power, skill over size. The response came back filled with a mixture of fear and awe. How can weapons so small defeat our greatest ships without even damaging our hull? Message from Admiral Hawthorne, Chen announced. Outstanding precision, Surgeon. The hegemony fleet is in disarray. Prepare for Phase 7. Mitchell watched as her squadron regrouped, their small ships moving with deadly grace around the disabled alien vessels. All ships maintain targeting solutions. We've shown them that the scalpel is mightier than the sword. Now let's prepare to demonstrate why humanity's greatest weapon was never about size. It was about precision. In the space around them, the mighty hegemony dreadnoughts drifted powerless, their crews learning that in the age of human warfare, precision could defeat power without firing a single destructive shot. Admiral Jessica Hawthorne stood on the bridge of the U.S. Quicksilver, watching as Operation Thunderstrike unfolded across her neural display. The remaining hegemony ships, still impressive in size, but now scattered and uncoordinated, were about to witness the full integration of humanity's combat doctrine. Commander Peter Zeus Anderson's EMP suite is charged and ready, Lieutenant Cooper reported from his station. All human ships have activated their electromagnetic shielding. Ghost Squadron is in position, Stinger's Wasps are primed, and Surgeon's team has target solutions. Hawthorne nodded, feeling the collective readiness of her fleet through the neural network. Begin final phase. Let's show them why humanity chose to evolve while they chose to expand. Commander Anderson's voice came through the neural link. U.S. Thunder. Initiating electromagnetic warfare sequence. These aliens are about to learn why we spent a decade studying Tesla instead of building bigger guns. The battle space lit up as Anderson's specialized squadron unleashed waves of precisely tuned electromagnetic pulses. The energy bursts, harmless to the shielded human ships, tore through the hegemony's communication networks like digital hurricanes. Enemy fleet going dark, Cooper announced with professional satisfaction. Their quantum communication arrays are completely scrambled. They're reverting to primitive radio signals, and those are being jammed by secondary EMPs. Hawthorne watched as the mighty alien fleet, their ships suddenly deaf and blind, began to break formation in panic. Without their advanced targeting systems, the massive vessels were reduced to firing blindly into space. Ghost Squadron, you have tactical freedom, she commanded. Show them why we named our ships after predators, not planets. Lieutenant Colonel Winter's stealth ships materialized from thermal shadows, striking with precision at the now vulnerable command and control centers of the hegemony fleet. Their attacks, once an annoyance to the mighty alien vessels, now struck with devastating accuracy against ships that could no longer coordinate their defenses. WASP's Nest protocol is ready, Captain Rodriguez reported through the neural net. Permission to demonstrate why size means nothing when you can't see your target. Granted, Hawthorne responded, allowing herself a small smile. Make them understand. The Vespa squadron executed their micro-jumps with perfect synchronization, appearing and disappearing around the disoriented hegemony ships like angry insects. Each strike precisely targeted the gaps in the aliens' now failing defensive systems. Through the neural network, Hawthorne felt Major Mitchell's precision strike team moving into position. Surgeon, their electronic warfare defenses are down. Show them the difference between brute force and precision. The U.S. Scalpel and her sister ships struck with quantum-locked accuracy, their beams threading through the chaos to disable critical systems with surgical precision. One by one, the mighty hegemony vessels fell silent, their massive weapons powerless against an enemy they couldn't target or track. Admiral Kethrix is broadcasting on all frequencies, communications reported. Audio only, their holographic systems are offline. Let's hear it, Hawthorne ordered. Kethrix's voice, no longer filled with mockery, echoed across the bridge. This is impossible. Your ships are too small to carry such weapons, too small to have such advanced systems. How can you coordinate such precise attacks without central command and control? Hawthorne opened a channel to the hegemony flagship. Admiral Kethrix, this is Fleet Admiral Hawthorne. Size was never the answer. While you built bigger ships, we built better ones. While you focused on power, we focused on efficiency. Your mighty fleet has been defeated not by superior force, but by superior evolution. Message from Fleet Command, Cooper announced. The hegemony's reinforcements are standing down. They're requesting terms. Hawthorne nodded, watching as her small but deadly fleet maintained their positions around the disabled alien armada. All ships hold position but maintain combat readiness. Today we've proven that humanity's greatest strength isn't in the size of our ships or the power of our weapons. It's in our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to overcome. The bridge crew watched in silence as the massive hegemony vessels, now powerless and blind, drifted in space, monuments to the folly of underestimating humanity's ingenuity. The galaxy was about to learn that in the age of human warfare, bigger didn't mean better. It just meant easier to hit. Kyle Spotlight Matthews, official war correspondent for the Terran fleet, adjusted his neural interface as he recorded the historic moment from the observation deck of the U.S. Chronicle. The holographic feeds from his enhanced cameras captured every detail of the hegemony surrender, a moment that would reshape galactic warfare forever. The scale difference is almost poetic, he narrated, watching Admiral Kethrix's massive shuttle approach the much smaller U.S. Quicksilver for the surrender ceremony. Their diplomatic vessel alone is larger than 3 of our warships combined. Yet here they come, humbled not by size, but by innovation. Through his neural feed, Matthews could feel the collective anticipation of the human fleet. Every ship maintained perfect formation, their small size now a point of pride rather than mockery. The disabled hegemony vessels floated in the background like beached whales, their mighty weapon systems dark and silent. Admiral Hawthorne is ready to receive them. Communications Officer Chen reported across the fleet-wide channel. All ships maintain current positions. Let's show them that discipline matters more than displacement. Matthews zoomed his cameras in as the alien delegation entered the Quicksilver's diplomatic bay. The sight of the towering hegemony officers having to duck through human-sized doorways would have been comical if not for the gravity of the moment. Recording all frequencies, he confirmed, knowing this footage would be studied in war colleges across the galaxy for centuries to come. The hegemony's fall, documented in full spectrum. Admiral Kethrix's voice, now stripped of its earlier arrogance, carried across all channels. Admiral Hawthorne, the hegemony acknowledges our tactical and technological inferiority. We request terms. Matthews kept his cameras focused as Hawthorne stepped forward, her small stature a stark contrast to the alien admiral's massive form. "The terms are simple," she responded. "You will acknowledge humanity's right to exist as equals in this galaxy. You will share your technology, as we will share ours. And you will remember this day not as a defeat, but as an evolution in warfare. Your ships," Kithrix gestured to the holographic display showing the human fleet. "How many could you build for the cost of one of our dreadnoughts?" Hawthorne's smile was subtle but visible on Matthew's feed. 10 of our vessels can be constructed in the time it takes to build one of yours. They require 1/10 the crew, consume 1/100th the fuel, and as you've learned today, they're significantly more effective in combat." The alien admiral's scales shifted in what Matthews had learned to recognize as embarrassment. "The galaxy will want to know how such small ships defeated the mighty hegemony fleet." "Let them know the truth," Hawthorne replied. "Size doesn't determine superiority. Innovation does. Efficiency does. Evolution does." Matthews felt a tingle through his neural interface as new data flooded the network. The hegemony's surrender was being broadcast across every frequency, every channel, every quantum communication relay in known space. Humanity's victory was now a matter of galactic record. "Your neural integration technology," Kithrix continued, a note of wonder in his translated voice. "Your quantum targeting systems, your thermal stealth capabilities, these should be impossible in vessels so small." "Impossible." Hawthorne's voice carried quiet pride. "No, we simply approached the problems differently. While the galaxy focused on building bigger ships, humanity asked why ships needed to be big at all." Matthews captured the moment as the surrender documents were signed, not on ancient parchment or digital tablets, but through a neural interface that the hegemony officers had to be taught to use. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone present. "Message from Fleet Command," Chen announced across all channels. "The hegemony's remaining forces across the galaxy are standing down. The war is officially over." As Matthews recorded the final moments of the ceremony, he felt the pride radiating through the neural network. Humanity's tiny fleet had not just won a battle. They had revolutionized warfare itself. The galaxy would never be the same. "This is Kyle Matthews, reporting from the U.S. Chronicle," he transmitted to Earth. "Today marks not just a victory, but a paradigm shift. The age of the dreadnought is over. The age of innovation has begun. Humanity didn't just defend itself, we changed the rules of the game forever." In the space around them, the human fleet maintained their precise formation, their small size now a testament to the greatest lesson in galactic history. True power lies not in size, but in the courage to think differently.